So about a year ago, I did a video on how to set up a tarp tent like this in a pyramid configuration. And in that space of time since I've been using it a lot, I've discovered a very interesting point on how to set it up in high winds. And so I'll go over that just now. So one thing I discovered is that if you set this up in really high winds, because this is at a relatively low pitch, there's a tendency for the center pole to slide against the direction of the wind. So if the wind's coming from this direction, the center pole will slowly move like this over time. Now, you can tie a guy line from the top of the tarp, but that's not really going to help anything because the pole will still move. And when I say in high winds, I mean in like a half a gale or a gale force wind, that pole will eventually slide because it's quite smooth, which is what you want for the tarp, but it will nonetheless slide. So what I discovered is when I set up this configuration, I'll usually use a trekking pole like this. And what I discovered is you can't guy it from the top, because if you try to guy it down like this, the guy lines will just pop off if it's in really high wind. So what I discovered is you guy the pole from the inside. So we'll demonstrate this in the tent in a second, but what I'll do is I'll take a piece of paracord or bank line and tie it from the strap of the trekking pole down inside the tent, down to the peg on the bottom here. Now, and what that will do is that will keep that pole in its one position. You might, depending on the wind, you might need to guide it to a second one, depending on where the wind is coming from, but as long as you've guided it down from one or two, depending on what you need, that pole is not going to move anywhere. The tarp itself is going to keep the pole relatively stationary, and then that guy line is just going to keep it from moving any further. So we'll demonstrate that inside the tent right now. Alright, so here we are inside the tent. I've got my trekking pole and I've got my strap to the trekking pole. And I got a bit of bank line. So, like I was saying, I'm just going to tie a guy line inside the tent from this trekking pole down to the stake. So I'll tie it down to the stake first. This is the fiddly bit. Sometimes you might want to do it inside the tent or outside, but I'm just going to go. There we go. Loop that around the stake from the outside. There we go. And you just want to tie a nut on there that's not going to slip. So bowline, or even just two half hitches, that's not going to move. And then I'll measure my string. It doesn't have to be very strong. This is just bank line, or you could use paracord, or anything really. When I first discovered this, I used my camera case strap because it was about the right length. All you want to do is just tie that up there, and you're not looking to tighten this as much as it can go. All you want to do is make sure that this distance from that peg to the top of the top of the pole doesn't move. So you don't have to pull it down really tight. You don't have to tighten it. You're just making sure that this pole isn't going to slide back any further. So I'm just making sure this is taut, but I'm not yanking it down really tight. There we go. Just a couple half hitches there. That's not going to move. And there you have it. As the wind is pushing against this overnight, it's not going to move. And as long as you've got your pegs down securely, and I've done another video about how to make those pegs even more secure than just putting them in the ground. As long as you've got those pegs down securely, that pole's not going to slip, it's not going to move. The tarp might flap around in the breeze a bit, but you know that's kind of that's what's going to happen with a tarp tent in a gale. But most importantly, that pole is not going to slide over, and the tent's not going to collapse on you, which otherwise, in a gale at least, it would do, because I've had it happen to me. But there you have it, just one more tip on how to set up this tarp in a very, very secure configuration for high winds. Thanks for watching.